Can you believe it? It is day 47 of 90. I am past the halfway point, and it's like when I got past the halfway point, I hit my stride, and here we are blowing past the 40s, almost into the 50s. This video, I'm going to do my recap of the memorial service that was earlier today, or the celebration of life as it was billed. Very beautiful service. I won't make this video too long because this is kind of like dinner at Thanksgiving. Like, we're all eating the same thing, but we all post about it anyway because our dressing looks better. So I thought the memorial today was really, really classic. It was not a grand, over-the-top funeral celebration. It really was a memorial service for the family that we got allowed to watch. And I thought that was really tasteful and classic. I think people from all over the world actually wanted to come and speak, and there very well could have been dignitaries from all over the world, people from the Olympic Commission, people from overseas. He knew and touched a lot of people. They were not allowed to speak. This was family and friends, handpicked by the family to give a very personal remembrance of both of them. So I thought that that was very classic. I have no idea how Vanessa is holding it together as well as she did. I didn't actually expect her to speak, but she did. She eulogized both her daughter and her husband and held up so remarkably well. I probably would be still laid out on the floor somewhere. So I think we are all in awe of how well she's holding it together. Because I would just really, I don't do feelings. Like I don't do feelings. So you would either have to drug me up to get me to that moment and to that part, to that stage, or I just wouldn't have been able to do it, period. Or barely, at the very least, maybe been there, but not able to get up and speak. So she did so well for both of them. And it's hard. It's hard to grieve, period. It's really tough. Most people just push their feelings away. A lot of us don't know how to properly grieve and heal. And it's even harder to grieve in the public. And it's really, really, really unfair to have to grieve more than one person at the same time. That's just really tough. And, you know, it's hard to lose your life partner. But even though it happened to her very young, that's kind of the natural order of things. But when you have to grieve a child, it doesn't matter if you're 35 or 95. That is just one of the most difficult things. And I applaud her. I don't know how she's able to do both at the same time and manage so well. So kudos to her for that. Beyonce looked really, really beautiful kicking off the ceremonies. She looked so much like her mother today. Like, she always looks beautiful. It's Beyonce. Yes, she looked beautiful. But she really looked like Tina Jr. today. I was just like, wow, I really see her mom and her. Really, really beautiful. Even at a funeral, she's going to have her hair blowing in the wind. I was like, okay, Beyonce, okay, whatever. Beyonce is always going to Beyonce. Alicia Keys did amazing on the piano. She is a brilliant pianist. I know I am not alone in this thought. Thank God nobody put a microphone to her mouth. I was really nervous when they called her name because it doesn't matter what you ask Alicia Keys to do. She's going to try to sneak in a song. She tries to sneak in a song, and it's like, girl, your voice hasn't been there for a really long time. Stop sneaking in songs. We didn't ask you to sing. We just want you to host, or we just want you to play the piano. So today, thank goodness, she didn't even step to the mic to say thank you. She just kind of bowed and bowed out. And I was like, no, thank you for not speaking. Like, don't. No more singing for Alicia. But she played their love song very beautifully, a Beethoven cut, and it was backed by a small mini orchestra, which was really, really beautiful, really, really touching and heartfelt for Vanessa. They panned to her several times, so you could see that was a really emotional moment for her. I was really excited when Christina Aguilera was introduced, but then I couldn't really hear her, and that was really disappointing because as far as the U.S. singers, because I love music, but I don't have that much of a catalog that I listen to people around the world. So I can't say that she's one of the best in the world, but certainly as far as our U.S. singers, she is always in my top 5. Like Christina, Whitney, Celine, and a few others, Patty, and we don't have Whitney anymore. So as far as living singers, she's definitely in my top 3. And I knew that whatever she's going to step to the mic to do, she was going to blow it away. And Ave Maria is such a beautiful song. And I couldn't hear her. And throughout the broadcast, I was having issues. Like CNN kept cutting in and out. And then I would have to go online and try to stream it from somewhere to see what was going on. Like Shaq's speech got cut out and something else got cut off of CNN. So I was thinking, is it CNN sound? Is it the sound in the stadium? I'm not really sure, but between the electric violin behind her that was kind of drowning her out and the sound issues, I couldn't hear Christina that well. The little that I heard, I knew she was killing it. I hope at least the people in the building could hear it well, because she is just really one of our top singers in the country and could go toe-to-toe with the best in the world, I'm sure. And she's never wavered. Like, I know that I did a video months ago when I saw her performance, and I wouldn't say buy a ticket to see a show. I wouldn't go that far. Yes, she sounds great live, better than the CD, but she's not a performer. But when it comes to singing, from the time she stepped out as a teenager doing that Disney sound to now, she's never wavered in her vocal abilities. She's only gotten better, even through drug addiction and weight gain and children and marriage and divorce. Like, her vocal ability has never wavered. So if anybody has like a link to that, if anybody heard it properly, I would love to hear the Ave Maria, because I know she killed it. Like, the little that I could hear, she was absolutely stunning. There weren't, like I said, there were no dignitaries speaking, which was great. It was really just a service for the family and friends. Somebody asked me, were his parents and siblings there? I honestly don't know what they look like. Like, people who are basketball fans, they probably know what his dad looks like, because his dad was a basketball player. And we know that most of his career, he was not on great terms with his mother, because, if he coughed in a napkin, she'd sell that. Like, we don't get to pick our family. So I don't know. I think that somebody got up and said something about parents in motion to someone, and said something about siblings in motion to someone, but I honestly don't know what they look like. And I think his sisters live in Vegas, live here. I think I read that at one point, but I don't know what they look like. So I couldn't tell if they were in the crowd or not. I would imagine that they would be, but I have no clue. To the person that asked me that. You'd have to Google his family, see what they look like, and then look at shots of the family stage to see if they were there, because I just wasn't that concerned about it. I just assumed they would be. And Jordan was hilarious. When he started talking about his crying memes, that was hilarious. Some much needed humor. Shaq had very touching words. Jordan had very touching words. I think Shaq was very reserved. Like, his words were from the heart, but I think he just kind of willed himself to not show too much emotion. And the one part that got to me really was when the UConn's women's basketball coach got up to speak. That was really, really touching. I mean, that was just such a celebration of Gigi's dreams. And I thought they did a really good job of really celebrating the two. Like, Gigi's dreams and achievements in her life wasn't overshadowed by her father's life. I thought they did a really good job of celebrating them both. I would have liked to see people from maybe her school or the Mamba Academy. That I thought would have been a nice touch, but for whatever reason, that didn't happen. I know when I lost my great niece at 15, it meant a lot to have her fellow schoolmates there so that they could speak and grieve and express, and that was beautiful moments, and say their poetry and all the other things that they had planned. So I don't know why Gigi's classmates weren't there. That would have been nice for them and to celebrate her, but all in all, I thought they did an awesome job of celebrating two lives at once and not having any one life overshadowed by the other. And there was another woman that really touched me deeply, and I wish I remembered her name. I want to say that she was the NCAA top scorer. And she was talking about how much Kobe meant to her, how much he meant to the game of basketball, and how much he meant to women's sports. And at the end of her speech, she was calling on people to continue their legacy in that way by supporting women's sports. And that was very powerful to me because, most of you know I do Toastmasters. I believe wholeheartedly in a call to action, and I felt like she had one. And so after listening to her speak, I was like, you know what? She's right. Like, we all can do something to celebrate women, to really encourage women in sports, young girls in sports. Yes, we are in a very beautiful time when little girls can dream of the WNBA, and they have a WNBA to dream of. When I was coming up, not that I was into sports, but like I remember it being created. So it's that recent. So now little girls can grow up, and it's such a natural thing to say, I'm going to go to this college on this scholarship, and then I'm going to go to the WNBA and play professionally. So after hearing her talk about how much more we can support and how much more there is to do, I vowed for myself to go to a WNBA game this year, just in honor of their memory and legacy. And if anybody wants to go with me, we actually do have a team here in Las Vegas, so that's great. I don't think I've ever lived in a city that had a WNBA team. If I did, I didn't know about it, and that's another sad thing. But we have to get out and support so that they have more money, so that they can argue for better benefits, so that they can have more endorsements. We have to get behind women's sports so that they can be just as highlighted and celebrated as men's sports. And it's not a novelty to have a woman WNBA player who's got an endorsement, but it's just a thing that happens because it should, because they're just as important to sports as men. So I'm gonna go to at least one WNBA game. I invite all of you guys to do the same. How can you either encourage your young girls in your life, or how can you support sports that are already established and put more money into women's sports just as you do men's sports? It's kind of sad when I think about it that I've literally, I've gone to London to see my football team. I've gone to 2 playoff games. I've gone to Thanksgiving highlight games. I've traveled all over to see my Buffalo team, and I haven't lived in Buffalo in 15 years, but I haven't gone down the street to see a WNBA team. So that is my vow to myself this year, 2020. And I invite you guys to do the same. Just find a way that you can support. And overall, I just hope that this ceremony brought closure to so many people. I think with Kobe's death, we saw grief in a way that we'd never seen it, especially in Black men who often are growing up told, you can't cry, you can't show emotion, suck it up, you're a man, you can't do this, you can't do that. So you have so many people who never learned how to properly process grief, have never been given permission to express it. And I'm talking on a large scale. This isn't everybody. I'm not saying nobody knows how to grieve, but largely, especially when you come to the Black community, we don't often have those tools. And I think a lot of the anger that we saw immediately after his death from Snoop on down to our local communities, that was because a lot don't have the tools to properly process the grief. And so it doesn't take long for that to spark into anger and misplaced emotions. So I hope that this ceremony just started to bring closure. Obviously, one ceremony isn't going to close the wounds, but I hope that it at least starts the healing process for many. I think it got a lot of people talking. I think it got a lot of men showing love to their daughters, maybe a little more than they had been in the past. Of course, you feel it in your heart, but to say it with your lips and express it with your actions is totally different. So I think we saw a lot more of that, which has been beautiful. And I really hope that it just sparked conversations within our communities. And if nothing more, inspired you to really live every day, because we really don't know when our last day is going to be, what the circumstances are going to be. So I just hope that everybody is waking up and going full force towards their dreams. Whatever your dreams are, put some action and effort into it and see what might transpire. Like, we really don't have time to waste thinking you've got another 20 years, or you've got, when I retire, I'm going to do this. Kobe just retired a couple of years ago, and we saw his next chapter starting, and so many other things he had planned. We just never know when the end is going to be. So whatever it is you want to do in your heart, do it now. And I hope people took that away from the ceremony as well. So that was my take on the ceremonies. Feel free to put your thoughts in the comments. I would love to know if you had any different takes, or if you saw anything different. Hey, Lois, I see you up there in New York. Hey, Ron Dukes, I see you in New York. Hey, Dahlia, I see you down there. I don't know where you are, actually. You could be in Georgia or Florida, but wherever my cousin is, love you. You need to make some videos yourself. People would be so inspired by your life story. And yeah, and that's my passion too, is helping people get their stories out there. Everybody has a story. Everybody can teach someone else something. And I feel like when we all express our stories, we all put our stories out there, we will all see that we are more alike than different, and maybe start to erase some of the hate in the world. So all right, I try to do that in under 10 minutes because a few people said my videos were getting too long. So anyway, I tried to do that in under 10 minutes. That's my takeaway. Go live life to the fullest. It sounds so cliche until you have a situation like this, and then you realize it's not cliche, it's real. It's one life, it's one lifetime. It's every day waking up, going hard at whatever it is you're fighting for. Fight for yourself over all else. If you don't put effort into your dreams, how do you expect anybody else to support it? You've got to put yourself out there first. So go forth and prosper. Have a great Monday. Bye.